This is Ron Brown. It is Saturday morning, July 22nd, 2017. I'm going to show you a couple of things or a few things that I do every day. Most of you who are members of the Insider Club already know that, but for those of you who are not, I'm going to explain a few things and show you some, well, at least one other way to get information through HGSI. HGSI is an extremely powerful program. There's all kinds of things you can do with it as far as locating stocks and so on, and I'm going to cover one of those things today. But before I do that, I want to just explain for those of you who maybe are not Insider Club members, or those of you who are, what I do every day. I go into this group right here called the Non-Index Groups 2017, and I drag the information down here primarily from the smart groups, and I keep track of this. For example, stocks and groups up, you can see that I have data all the way going back to January, and the reason for this is I can go in and look at the historical data and just get a feel for what was happening with the rotation back at that time, especially on these stocks and groups up and down. This is the best of Woodward and Brown. Ian and I have had this. We had the smart group for a long time. Essentially, what it is it goes in and picks out the top 10 stocks based upon the number of appearances in the Woodward and Brown smart groups. So you can see that there are some well-known names here as of yesterday. Now this is an important group. These are the top 100 raw combo stocks. Actually, the groups are all important if they're in here, but this one I'm going to work with here in a little while, and I'll explain that to you. But these are just taken. This group is created. It's 100 stocks. It's created from a combo rank based upon a relative strength and raw group rank, and it does a very good job of keeping you focused, or keeping users focused on leadership stocks. So that's in the top raw combo group. Now these are VPA signals that I track every day, both positive and negative. This is the top 50 group inclusion report. I'm sure if you've been following HGSI, you know what the top 50 is. It's essentially both primarily the long side. We go in and run the smart groups against the database, and the top 50 that come out go into the top 50 GIR. This is just a short side version of it. I'm just tracking the shorts right now, not doing much with them because we're in a bullish market, but a lot of these stocks have really tanked. For example, here's High Crush. Look at this. It's gone from, well, let's open this up. It's gone from a high of around 23 down to, looks like, around 9.5. The moving averages on this chart are the 3, 6, and 18-day exponential moving averages, and generally, not always, those moving averages keep you on the correct side of a momentum trade. But look at the group. The group, I keep harping on the group. Look how these stocks follow the group. That's, in my opinion, the most important thing that we can look at. Well, maybe I shouldn't say the most important thing, but it certainly is important. You'll see that over and over with these stocks. Anyway, that's the top 50. These are swing high pullbacks. In other words, these are stocks that are appearing in the top 50, but they pulled back from a 1-day high, a 1 or 2 day high. Now here's AAOI, and you can see that it pulled back, and it is generating, I'll zoom in on this, a low volume test for supply. So volume is lower than the prior day, closed in the upper part of its range, so it is generating a test for supply. This is one of the leading stocks in the database now. Okay, now earnings due. We're in earnings season. What I like to do is I track the earnings. These are earnings that are These are earnings of stocks that are assigned to groups in HGSI, and they are coming out Monday, so I know what is coming out. Now you can see that I've been tracking these every day. Once I started tracking these last week, I put them into the earnings out folder, and I do that because if I want to concentrate on looking for prospects whose earnings are out of the way, it's in the earnings out folder. And that's the sole purpose of this. If you want earnings out of the way, stocks don't just die after earnings. They go one way or the other, or they consolidate. This is a good place to look, or to prospect, I should say. These are the Woodward and Brown and the Morales and Cashier Smart Groups, just for historical purposes. These are the CBOE most active options, and these are the new issues since 2013. That's what is in my non-indexed groups. Those are what I update every day and track every day, and then I send them out on the weekend for two subscribers. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are many ways to analyze stocks and ETFs in HGSI Investor, and usually I work down here in the W&B user groups. I look at the broad market indices and the regular indices, but these are indexes which are, I made some modifications and didn't update this. Let me go ahead and redo this quickly. I'll show you how to do this. If this ever happens to you, just close the warehouse, go to the designer, and go to rebuild indexes in group. And what it's going to do, it's going to go ahead and rebuild all these indexes. Now, the reason you want to close your warehouse is because that slows you down. It's accessing the warehouse, and I just want to rebuild the indexes. What I did is I went in for the Insider Club, and I changed or went into the institutional indexes and some other indexes and updated them, and then I didn't rebuild, so that's why that showed up like that. Anyway, this is all securities. It's going to take a few seconds. I'll just go ahead and pause it. Okay, that took a couple minutes. Now if I go to the warehouse view, you're going to see that all the indexes have been rebuilt. That was just something that I didn't do after I updated the groups. Now let's take a look at this. A few weeks ago, or about a week and a half ago, I did a couple of videos on the WB LOUR, lower left, upper right, based upon the moving average extensions, and I'm sorted on the raw combo in the top-down analysis view, which you will find right here under the top-down processes, and you can see that the trends are all up. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chart. I'll go to number 2 as far as my zoom, alternate 2, and I'm going to go into my top-down charts under HGSI. Now I usually look at these charts, these two primarily, and you can see that the index is still going up. I'll put my crosshair on with alternate C. This was a buy signal after the short correction for these leading stocks. Here's lower left to upper right. You can see the VPA signals came in right near the bottom, and then there was confirmation the next day with a 5-to-1 day on the advancing issues versus declining, and the same thing for the volume, at least 5-to-1. I say 5-to-1, but that was at least. And then the force indexes both turned positive. The VPOC, or the volume point of control, turned positive, and that issues a buy signal. Here was another one here. We have not had any sell signals in this group yet. This is a group I am sticking with right now because I actually created this on, well, it's dated here. At least in my groups it was 626. So let's take a look at 626, which is right here when we started seeing a sell-off. If you look down here, At the bottom, this is 626, and we were all, well, I shouldn't say we were all, but several people were thinking that this was running out of gas. And what happened? What has always happened recently, it sold off, and you can see these sell signals generated right here on the 27th, and there was a whipsaw, and then another sell signal, and then kind of a minor sell signal before it reversed again. So these are the leadership stocks as of 626, and this group is holding up. Now this is going to take me to the next method of looking for strength, and I'm going to, first of all, I'll get out of this chart. Actually, let me go back in here. I wanted to show you this chart too. Number 5, this shows you what happened yesterday, the percent of advancing issues versus declining. Pretty close to 50-50 now. No, not quite, but anyway, this is one day. We're looking for the trends though. We aren't looking at one day, but you can see there is a little bit of momentum loss right here. But until I start seeing some sell signals on this other chart, I have to assume that the trend remains up. You can see that the volume is falling off. It's losing some momentum. It is above that high here as a group. So we'll just have to wait and see. No question this market is long in the tooth, but it's been long in the tooth for a long time. Also, we have to look at the fan, the 18, the 50, the 100, and the 200. They're all still showing a long-term trend in this group. So it's really hard to bet against this market right now. Now let's take this from a little different perspective here. I'm going to go into my Woodward and Brown Smart Groups, and this is a group that is created every day based upon a combo ranking, which forces the stocks with a strong relative strength and group strength to the top of the list. I'm going to drag this down to my user groups, and I'll go ahead and generate an index for this right now. Now here is the index. It's generated over a couple of years. Let me go back up. I switched charts here. Let's go back to these HGSI charts, and we'll look at number 4. You can see that this stock, or this group of stocks, and I generate for 2 years. It is my start date is 2 years ago. Very strong group in a long-term uptrend with the fan in place, and you can see that it looks more powerful than that LUR chart, and the reason for that is this one changes every day based upon a combo ranking, and this is how this group is created. If you click on the Smart Group, right mouse click, select Group Properties, it tells you right here that this combo ranking, which creates the groups, the top 100s based on raw relative strength, raw group, and percent above the 200-day moving average, with the primary weight on the raw relative strength. And then it takes the top 100, and this is what we end up with. And I'm going to the scorecard, and I'll just scroll down here, and I want to point out these two columns right here, raw relative strength and raw group rank. If I scroll all the way down, you can see that every box or every line is above 80 or above in the relative strength and the group rank. Not so with the EPS rank. So if you like to screen for EPS ranks or earnings numbers only, you're going to not see a lot of these stocks, which are based upon a raw relative strength. A lot of them don't even have an EPS rank. Let me just find one here. The renewable energy, the solar stocks have been strong. Look at Jinko Solar. I don't want to use this chart. Let me go back to that other one. I'll just use the long-term fan chart. Here's where, let's see, it looks like the fan came into play. It would have to be above here, right in here when this started to move up. It's another 8 or 9 points higher. By the fan, I mean these are all in the correct order: 18, 50, 100, and 200. It was basing sideways, and then it's moved up since then. If I look at the numbers up here, EPS rank 5, RS a 96, group rank of 96. So a leading stock with a real poor EPS rank, and that's not uncommon in this group. So what are these leaders? Well, let's just sort by industry. And first of all, I want to get rid of that index. So to do that, I'm going to choose a filter. I just go under my name, under the GIR, or Group Inclusion Report Filters. Group index equals no. This 101 will change to 100. And then I can go to my industries. This gives me a breakdown of the industries of stocks in this industry. Notice that the biotechs are the dominant group, followed by specialty pharma, e-commerce, discretionary, semiconductors, medical devices, and so on. And then we get down here, and there are several that just have, one stock. So even though all we hear about are the FANG stocks, there are a lot of stocks in this database that are leaders, and they have been moving up, and their percentage gains could be much greater than the so-called FANG stocks, especially over the shorter term. Now, what you can do is you can make make indexes out of this. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to locate the group that I dragged down here and make this a subgroup. Now this prepend data means it's going to go ahead and date these indexes. Alright, it took about a minute to do that, and if I go down to my user groups, you can see that I have the list of stocks here and the industry groups right below it. Well, I'll just get rid of this. Let's go back into here. Rather than the scorecard, I'm going to look at the top-down analysis view, which is under the Insider Club. It's number 1. Notice that all of these groups, the trends are primarily up. There's one group that is not. That's medical devices, and in the short term it's down because it's consolidating. This is, remember, just made up of the stocks that are high RS stocks that belong to the medical devices index. If I change to this, you can see that there are 6 of them. So it's pretty well represented out of the 100. But not nearly as well as the biotech and specialty pharma, semiconductors, and so on. Now I'm going to go back, and you can see that when I sort on raw combo, this is strong trends up. The exploration and production index comes to the top of the list. It doesn't mean that these stocks are the best right now. In fact, you can see that this group kind of pulled back on Friday, but based upon the strong trends up combo, this is a strong trend. And now if I step down to my next view and sort on advancers versus decliners, you can see that on Friday in the semiconductor manufacturing index there were 3 advancers and 1 decliner, and I can also see the number of stocks that are in each one of these indexes, and as I mentioned before, some of them are not very well represented. Here's one with only one stock in it. I'm going to change to the index group, and Brinks is the company, but look at that beautiful chart. Now this is a chart really that nobody talks about, or at least I haven't seen much mention of it. And look at this. This has a good EPS rank. RS90 group rank of 97. It's hugging the 18 or above the 18. We're getting a few negative VPA flags here, but the group is up, and this is a powerful looking chart. This is just one example of the kind of stocks that you're going to find in here that you may not find anywhere else. Let's go up to the semiconductor manufacturing and change to this, and I'll go back to the scorecard view. Now this is a looser chart, obviously, but the fan is in place. It looks like it's setting up. There's no earnings due date on this one. You'd have to look that up elsewhere. Everspin had a nice move, but you can see that it's sold off. Good VPA flag calls at the top of this. Right here there were some warnings here, and then it came down, and now it looks like it may want to regroup. Here's Magnachip. Earnings are coming out the 3rd, well above the 18 period. Here's an effort to rise. You can see that there was selling in each one of these days on heavier volume. That's what the red dot represents. Here is there are some caution signals. The group is actually carrying the stock. It looks like it may want to go again. It's still a couple of weeks away from earnings. Looks strong. I want to check something here. 33 million shares out. Institutionally held 92.9, no PE. Once again, EPS ranks very poor, but I'm talking raw relative strength here. This is where the demand is. And let's look at UCTT. You see a nice run here. Excellent reversal call here. Of course, there were some buy signals there, and it sold off hard. Earnings are coming up, but it started basing. Look where the VPA flags were. Right down here at the 100-day. Here the effort to rise candle occurred on the day that the stock crossed over, or the 18 crossed over the 50, and it's moved up since. Now it's hesitating going into earnings. So you can like I've been doing here, I have to get back to my industry groups. You can look at the industry groups, see what the short-term demand is. I'm using the top-down VPA scorecard. You can go into the ranking module. This is versus the SPX over 1 week, comparative number of weeks won compared to the SPX. This means that it's this group. There's only one stock in here, so it's kind of meaningless. But this particular stock outperformed the S&P this last week by 16%. Generally, I look at relative strength, and I look at E and slow, which is based upon 6 months, and this really is the longer term. Look at the markets with the last 3 months. The last 3 months are 70% of the weighting, and the prior 3 months are 30%. And you can see that there's been a dramatic run up the past 3 months. Now remember, I am just working with industry groups that I created from these raw relative strength stocks. This has really nothing to do with the larger groups. This is my focus right here. I'm just looking at the raw relative strength stocks to look for potential setups for potential trades. Now I'm going to show you something that is I put in for the Insider Club for July for today, and we're going to talk about this. There are 4 views under folder number 15. I'm still using May 1st because I haven't made that many changes yet. When I go ahead and rearrange a lot of these groups, I will change the date. But what this does is it looks at bullish VPA flags for the past 10 days. And the way I did that, and there's a separate movie, by the way, for the Insider Club, which goes into depth about this. I looked at these VPA signal conditions and descriptions, looked at the last, if it contains any of these bullish signals, then with the addition of this line, days since the last VPA signal less than or equal to 9, then it's going to appear through here. So out of 100, 43 of these stocks in this group have had a bullish VPA flag over the past 10 days. You can see the days since the last VPA signal. So I'm going to sort on this. The zeros are the ones that are having signals today. Why don't I start there? Here's Alibaba. I'll bring up this information so you can see their RS and the group rank are very strong. This is a low volume test for supply. Fan is in place. Extremely powerful. If I go to this other chart with the high-low trigger, this is my IR, the impulse reaction method, and whenever there's a green bar here, it means the volume point of control is positive. The stock is pulling back from a 1 or 2 day high, and that is a potential trade, especially if it takes out the prior day's high. And you can see that was a good trade here. Here you never would have executed. Here would not have executed because it was going down, but there are several good calls that would not have executed there. This one would have, but it's just another way to prospect. You can see back in this area there were several opportunities. Okay, let me go. Well, I'll stay with this chart. Here's a AOI. It is generating a green flag today. Now this stock's getting a lot riskier because of the extension, and it would have to an early entry would be taking out Friday's high, and a later entry would be clear up here, which is even more dangerous. So you have to use good judgment. But here was an excellent entry point right here. You can see that here. This is magenta rather than green because the VPOC was negative, so there was no green line generated. And look, the group was going down. When the group turned up, look at these pocket pivots coming in. The blue represents pocket pivots. Strength coming in. There's several ways to prospect for these stocks. Anyway, these are stocks that are generating VPA flags today. If the VPA signal is yes in this, that means that there is a signal today. Now, where it says no, that means that the signals are in the past. And we can look in here and see what the last VPA signal condition was. I'll just run through some of these going back 3 days. Start with, I have not looked at these, so we're going to see what happened. Here's 3 days ago. There is that's a $1.85 stock, but it meets the criteria. RS98, group rank 88. This is a beautiful tight chart, and it is showing several positive VPA flags. Now this one, here's your VPA flag. If I go in here, it says that this happened 3 days ago, 4 days ago actually. Zero's a crossover day. So there's your last VPA flag. Excellent call on this one. This one was 3 days ago. It hasn't done much yet. The earnings are coming up on the 26th. Here's your VPA flag. This would have appeared before, but it only references the last one. Look at these good VPA flags on these stocks. Now this is a buyout. Here's your last one. What's the date here? Once again, 3 days ago. Let's go back a little further. Effort to rise. This would be 6 days ago, right there. This one would be 6 days ago also. First Solar. This one is 6 days ago also. So my thinking was, I can go back 10 days and see how these VPA flags worked out. Now there's another video for the Insider Club members. It's a lot more detailed using the GIR and so on, but I just want to show this to everybody. Here's one 8 days ago. It was a no supply as sign of strength. Let's see how that worked out. Right here, it hasn't done much yet, but it's still kind of setting up. This one was an effort to rise 9 days ago. That would be 9 days ago. Hasn't done much, but it's setting up. Needs to be in a watch list. This one is the longest dated. This would be 10 days ago. Let's see if this one held up well also. It too, here's your flag right here, and it too is still holding. Now back in this area, in past days, these would have shown up, all of these VPA flags, as historical flags. There are many views in here. VPA flag today is what you can be looking for now. This is one of them. But this one also requires a positive VPOC. What these views do is give us the ability to see which ones fired. Today, this one requires a fan uptrend, or the fan in place, 18 above the 50, and etc. So it goes from 43 up here at the top to 41. These are used for intraday, and what I did here is I just required that the intraday percentage price change be greater than 0. So you can run this intraday to see which wolf packs are running intraday and meet these requirements. They have to have a bullish VPA flag within the last 10 days, and this is the fan uptrend. No change here. Anyway, I don't want to belabor this. I thought you might find this interesting, that this is an excellent group of stocks to look at. The leaders, raw relative strength, and then you can massage it. You saw several potential candidates here that should go on a watch list. Thanks for listening, and if you're not a member of the Insider Club, you can certainly subscribe if you want access to all my updated files every week. Just go to highgrowthstock.com, and well, I'll show you. Just go to highgrowthstock.com. If you have HGSI, just go into the help menu to the website, and then you can go to order, and it's right here under the Insider Club. Great software. You can do a lot of things with it, and I'm just showing you a few more examples. Thank you for listening.